I, I, I see it as an opportunity to network, to share my journey. I'm very passionate about the Scrum Master role. That was where I spent most of my Agile journey learning and growing and serving and just being a better person altogether. And to be honest, I think that's where I also discovered myself. If there's any takeaway I want to share today, it's that agility is really not just only about agile teams and scrum masters helping our teams apply the agile values. There's this concept about bringing your whole self to work. I really do believe it's true. Until the point where I started applying the agile values and principles to myself personally as an individual, I wasn't bringing my whole self to work. I was a scrum master at work, and at home, I think I was a waterfall master, just doing things the same old way and not learning or experimenting, until the point where I realized, the things I'm doing at work, the principles I'm trying to help teams develop and grow, I could apply it to myself as well. And so if there's anything you take away from this presentation, it's that agility doesn't just apply to agile teams, it applies to us as individuals. And I would share how my journey to applying agility to myself as an individual. All right, I need to cancel that. So sharing this, I'm not going to do it alone. So it's 40 minutes, but I also want to, we have a lot of experienced people on the call, people who have worked the journey of being a Scrum Master or any other role. As we go through the empirical process, please do feel free. There'll be times when I ask, that you share as well. And I will be respectful of the time because I want to get, finish this presentation in 40 minutes and give you time back knowing this is your lunch hour. And also just FYI, I can't see the chat. So if there's something that needs my attention, you would need to call it out so I can hear you. Cool. We all know the empirical process, transparency, inspection, and adaptation. I'm going to take a different spin to it today. So when we say transparency in our teams, we have different techniques for showing transparency. We also need to show transparency to ourselves. And one of the ways that I've moved in that journey is really just realizing who I am. So aside from being a Scrum Master or an Agile coach, I am a mom. I have two amazing kids, Zion and Hazy. I'm a Nigerian by birth. I immigrated here about 10 years ago, and I'm now a citizen. I live in Plano, Texas. I love to read, sing, and dance. I do that also with my family. My favorite color is red. I'm not wearing red today, but that's my favorite color. I truly do believe that being a mom is a full-time job, but not everyone agrees with me on that. But when the kids are not with me, then I'm an Agile coach at work. I work at a company called Lockheed Martin, where we use science and technology to protect the country and also help people around the world. I did mention earlier that being an Agile coach and applying that personally to myself has led to some things called connection. As I look at this picture, it reminds me of the fact that we're all in one way connected to each other. And we all in one way spark something in the other person. And so when you are on a Scrum team, you are there for a reason, but which you think is to be a Scrum Master, but there are also other reasons you're there. It could be to help someone grow in their career while you're doing your job. It could be to mentor someone. It could also be to really just be a listening ear, because when we come to work, we still have personal lives and things that impact our progress, our efficiency at work. I know that I've worked with people, with moms who are either going through a divorce or who just lost a loved one. These are just examples of scenarios. They're on your Scrum team, they still need to deliver, but you still have to show the human side, the connectedness. And great Scrum Masters are compassionate, they show empathy, they connect, and they create a space of safety. So being able to recognize those things at work helped me as well in terms of recognizing those things in my own personal life, in my connection with people. It could be just going to an event and meeting another mom, and we connect that way and we build relationships. And I remember a story of me going into a class and meeting a Nigerian like myself in that class, and we just became friends. 10 years after, she has helped my Agile journey, and I'll talk to you about her later on at the end. She's helped my Agile journey, helped me grow, mentored me, coached me, and helped me be a better person. Why do I say all of this, or why am I sharing this story? I am because I want us to leave this event knowing that the people we meet on a day-to-day, it's not just coincidence. There's a connection that could be sparked if we recognize it and if we use it to our advantage. So let's do an activity. And I've been talking for like 5 minutes. I'm not used to talking for too long. So here in this activity, I want you to look at the icons. The first one is, if you've mentored someone before, you get a trophy cup. Think about the trophy cup, because you're going to go to your, I believe it's the icon that where you can pick. Let me show you. Yeah, the reactions. So when you go to the reactions on your Zoom options, you would have the option to, and you go to the 3 dots. If you look down, you should be able to find, or maybe just type in trophy. Yep, if you type in the trophy, TRO, you should be able to find a trophy. I want you to pick that. I want that to show on your picture that you have mentored someone. Now, if you have mentored someone and you are a parent, pick the ball instead, I call it football, soccer ball. But if you have mentored someone, you're a parent, and you're an Agile professional as well. Agile professional could be Scrum Master, Product Owner, any profession where you apply the Agile concepts. Then you're on fire. Pick the fire. Now let's see. I'm going to switch views. Oh, wow. Okay. I see a few people on fire. Reach, thanks for sharing. Susan, you were on fire. Why did you take it up? Okay. Could we put back our icons again? I saw a few. I really want everyone to see and then try to connect with someone who is similar to you. So the trophy, the fire, the softball. I'm looking for a softball, soccer ball. Anyone? Okay, do we have anyone who is a mentor and a parent as well on the call that's willing to speak to that?
I saw one earlier, but I think they only show for a couple of seconds. And then they
the reactions are temporary. They go away.
Okay. All right. Thank you. the reason for that action was because I just wanted to show that in some way we are related and there's something in common that we can connect with someone else on. And it's really important that we build on those connections. So the empirical process, transparency, inspection, and adaptation. As an Agile coach, I'll tell you about my journey. I started as an intern with Nationwide Insurance. I guess I did a good job and they decided to hire me on as a project manager, project coordinator, and then I moved on to being a project manager. And during that time, I realized that there's just a lot of waste. So it was a waterfall method. We start a project and 2 years after we deliver it and a lot of bugs. The customer is like, that's not what I thought I wanted. And there was just a lot of change in the process. And I remember sitting with my mentor saying, why do we waste so much money? And he was just listening to me babble. And then he said, have you heard of Scrum? And I said, no. And he said, you should try and take the course and see if you gain anything from it. And I went, did the course, and I loved it. I was like, wow, where has this concept been all this while? These principles definitely do apply. And I fell in love with the Agile process. I like the fact that maybe at that time it was what I needed, because as a project manager, I was away from the team and I was just getting status reports. I wasn't really into the details, but I was hearing from the customer. So I wanted to always bridge that gap. And so being a Scrum Master helped me bridge that gap, because I was in the details now. I was working with the team, and anything I heard from the project manager who was working with the business owners and all of that, I was helping the team apply those things and deliver the right work. And plus we're talking every day, so it felt very much like a family. And I came back home and it's just like the same concept. As a family, you wake up in the morning and you greet each other and you talk about what's going to happen in the day. The same thing, I go to work as a Scrum Master. We have daily Scrum for 15 minutes and we talk about what it is we wanted to achieve and how I could help them achieve those things. But one of the things that I found myself doing was the idea of transparency, right? It's because you're a Scrum Master, you're being able to see things that other people might not see. You're able to see that one of your colleagues isn't smiling as they used to, or they're sad, or you're able to see that, you know, this person is being overworked and others are not. You just see a lot. So being able to wisely be transparent about those, because you need to create a safe environment for your team to grow and continue to perform, required some tools. Sometimes it was Jira, it was graphs. It was also just having one-on-one time with people and understanding what was going on. And it was group discussion as well, and just asking a powerful question that got people talking and creating awareness. And there were other times where inspection was what was needed. We needed to show, you know, what it is we have achieved, because the project manager or the program manager or the product owner or some senior person wants to know, what's this team doing? Why are we paying them so much value, so much money, and we're not seeing what they're doing? And so creating an environment for a demo or to show the progress that was being made, to get stakeholders in the room, get feedback, were some of the tools that were used for inspection. And I know you all probably know these things and you have different ways of doing yours, but I'm going somewhere with this. This is something I did day to day. Adaptation as well, which is basically what we do next, our action items, what we're going to do differently when we're experimenting, when we're learning things, what decisions are coming out of that, what are we doing differently, and really putting those into actions to see results. I did all of that with teams. I worked with over 50 teams. I from being a Scrum Master, I became an RTA, Scrum Master of Scrum Masters, working with different Scrum Masters and mentoring different Scrum Masters, and onboarding new teams and training and coaching new teams. And so I did that a lot. It became part of my thinking process and brain process and just the way I looked at things. Before I knew it, it started seeping its way into my personal life. And the result of that, I call it the result of that, it was a journey, of course, but the result of that was I had to, at some point, be transparent with myself around, you know, how am I doing in my family life? How am I doing in my financial life? How am I doing in my friendship with others? How am I doing with spirituality? And just being transparent about it. Not burying things, but bringing it to the surface. And it also required me inspecting, right? And saying, okay, I said I was going to do this, and this is where I want to go. Where am I now? And just finding ways to inspect how my life was going. It also required adaptation. That is the hardest part, because that's when the rubber hits the road and you realize you've been going down the wrong path, and now it's time to pivot or change directions. It's hard, just like, and it's similar to when I go into a team and they've been doing waterfall for forever, and I'm asking them to change to Scrum or Agile. There's resistance because this is something they've done for long. Same thing applied in my life. So there was a little bit of resistance, but adaptation was necessary. A change was necessary. So after 7 years of being a Scrum Master, Agile Coach, I started applying these principles. And the result was a book I wrote called The Phoenix of a Mushin Girl. The Phoenix of a Mushin Girl, and I'm sure people are wondering, what is Mushin? I know I haven't looked at the chat, but maybe that question has come up. Mushin is a call it ghetto. It's a ghetto in Nigeria. It's a poor neighborhood, let's put it that way. Coming to America, I almost forgot where I came from, almost. And so there were a few things that I had buried and just, this is a new life and moving on and all of that. But I realized that to move forward, it's important that you look backwards. And one of the things that led to was transparency. So being transparent about, you know, let's be real here. You've been through a lot, you've come through a lot, and you're at this point now. Why are you still running? Why are you still hiding? Be real with yourself. And I had to realize that, yes, I have come from a poor background or a low background, but I didn't let that define me. I didn't let that stop me from achieving my goals at the end. At some point, I used to, you know, look down at myself and be like, I can't do that. I don't deserve that promotion. Who am I to ask for an increase? And I realized those thoughts were seeping into my subconscious. But because I was applying these principles at work, I had to bring it back to myself and say, I need to be transparent with myself on who I was. It doesn't define who I'm going to become. And so the Phoenix of a Mushin Girl really talks about how I take the concepts of transparency, the concepts of inspection and adaptation, mostly on my mind. And help transform myself. And the Phoenix came from a movie I watched. I think it was Mulan, a Mulan movie. And it talks about how the Phoenix brings about a rebirth in a person. And it's really just about that rebirth, like taking my mind and applying those principles of transparency, inspection, and adaptation, and transforming myself to someone else who is not fake, is real. It's a journey, and it's just experimentation and changing of belief system, putting the work to it, believing in myself and growing beyond mistakes, beyond issues, and beyond just limitations in my own mind. and of course, a cheap plugin, but you can purchase the book if you want to know more on Amazon or Barnes and Nobles. So what are the tools that I used? One of it was, let's talk about transparency. So I call it, personally, when you take away transparency from work and you put it to yourself, it's holding the mirror up to self. You know, be real and be truthful to yourself. It's creating a self-awareness. And it's interesting that when we create that, it doesn't just stop with us, it seeps into work. A story was, I as a Scrum Master, I got feedback from one of my business owners earlier on, and he said, why are you being a Scrum police? And the feedback, he didn't say it this nicely. He wrote it to my manager. Why are you being a Scrum police? You seem to want to control everything that's happening. You want, it's like you hold the Scrum book as a Bible and want people to just follow all the rules. At first, I didn't think that was true. But as I turned the mirror to myself, I realized, you know, he has a point. Maybe I'm not listening more to people and understanding their perspectives and showing empathy. How can I do that? How can I do more of that? And that led me to another journey, just being able to hold that mirror up and say, maybe it's true, to consider the fact that it's possible that feedback is true, led me down the path of coaching. And that was where I met Sherry Silas, who was my coach, taught me about, you know, listening, what listening is about, showing empathy, coaching as opposed to telling. It's also opened my eyes to, you know, just observing results and letting the results speak for itself. That helped me. I'm forever grateful to that business owner who gave me that feedback, because that really helped me be a better Scrum Master. I had more teams. I grew to become an RTE, grew to become a coach, went on from that company to become an enterprise coach somewhere else. Feedback is important. But another thing that helps with transparency is, I call it the wheel of life. And if you go on Google, it's called the Numi Wheel of Life. Everything is connected. I believe that everything is connected. Your career is connected to your health, to your friends, to fun, to money, to family, to spirituality, love. It's all connected. And taking time to kind of measure where you are, just like we have, you know, velocity, and we have other metrics that we use at work to measure where the team is and where the team wants to grow. Sometimes we have to turn the mirror at ourselves and measure where we are. So a wheel of life is a good thing to do. And it's a quick 5 minutes exercise, if you choose to, of just saying, where are you? And this is mine. After so much growing, May 5th, fun, I could do some work. Friends, I could do some work. And it's coming up, it's not just understanding the wheel of life, it's also coming up with plans to improve those areas of your life. And that's where the Trello Vision Board comes into play. How I use Trello Vision Board is, I state to do, it's like your Kanban board, right? To do in progress, done. But it's also just saying, on my backlog right now, fun is 5. I need to have a lot more fun. What does that look like for me? I don't know, maybe taking more trips out of the country, visiting more places. It becomes a goal, right? That you put into your either in progress when you get it in motion. So that's an example, but there are other areas that you can use the wheel of life and the Trello Vision Board to chat out change and be transparent on where you are and where you want to go. My favorite is journaling. I see that as a way to bring your whole self to the table. Different people see journals as, some people think it's a teenage thing. Only teenagers do that. But I feel adults too need to journal from time to time because our mind stores a lot of things, and sometimes it's jumbled up, and sometimes we can't really make sense of the things that are going on in our minds. But when you take time to write out, what you're experiencing, and take time to, by writing it out, kind of put your thoughts to paper and better analyze things, it helps. So for me, journaling helped a lot. It also helped with me putting the book together. The book was written in a sprint, so 2 weeks. I spent 7 days writing, and then the remaining, a sprint's like 10 days, but the remaining 3 to 4 days, including the weekend, was my time of getting feedback from people, from a chosen set of people who read the book and gave me feedback on change this, do that, and all of that. 7 days. So it required a lot of focus. It required a lot of attention, but it also required me looking through my journals of things I'd written in the past around how I thought about things and how I perceived things. It really helped a long way with putting the book together. All right, so I'm going to pause here, stop sharing for a minute. I have said a lot, but I really want to hear from the group. So when you think about transparency and applying that to your personal life, what tools do you use? And you can choose, you can speak up, or you can put it in the chat. Jessica,
I'll go ahead and get us started. So just this year, and I know that, I've been running the Scrum Master community meeting for well over a year, but just this year, I set up a Kanban board next to my desk. And it has really opened my eyes, like the actual practice of taking my own personal life through a Kanban board has really created empathy in me for my teams. So that's one of the tools I think that has really helped.
Thanks for sharing, Jessica.
So for me, it has been my coach. I work with a coach and, pointing out that, oh, that's the blind spot, and this is how it looks, and this is how it feels. And notice it, learn to notice it within you, and then learn to notice it with your clients. So I resonated with you that, it's applying those principles first to you and bringing your whole, whatever whole is at the moment where you are. And that has been the most impactful for me.
Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. Anyone else? Oh, it's a silent group today. I probably have said, I don't know, is the silence more of, oh, I'm reflecting, or is more of, I don't connect with you? The thumbs up is, I connect with you, be nice. Oh, reflecting, okay. Thank you.
Pelumi, I had written in the chat vision board. Something new that I'm trying to incorporate is journaling. Thank you for taking the time to do this, by the way, and hitting this point, journaling. We do have a lot on our minds, and that creates anxiety. It creates a lot of unnecessary things that holds us back. So I'm hoping this new journey of actually journaling will be able to kind of alleviate a lot of those feelings that we might be feeling because of a lot in our brains.
Yes, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yes, I think, when you write, especially what you said about feelings resonates a lot with me. Because when you write, I feel jealous about maybe this person got a promotion. It's in your journal. Hopefully nobody gets to read it, but it's in your journal. But you just writing it out, helps get it out of your brain in paper to a way that you can better analyze it. And sometimes it's just writing it there and closing it, and maybe a month after coming back and looking at it. I'll give a personal example. I've been giving a lot of personal examples, y'all. Okay, so one of the personal examples was I worked at this company for like close to 5 years. I got promoted once, and I saw other people who were new like get promoted over me. And I wondered if it was something I was doing that was bad, or so I was always trying to get feedback from my manager, and she kept, you know, telling me, you're doing great. You're doing great. The leaders just don't want to promote you yet. And it was a not yet, not yet. So one day I took my journal and I wrote that I don't think it's fair that XYZ gets promoted and I'm not promoted. And I just closed it. I put my feelings out there and I closed it. And the feelings kind of left me for a while, and I just kept doing my own thing. And I looked at it 5 years. Well, I wrote it, and 2 years after, I looked back at that, and I realized that I wasn't there anymore. I was now in another company and I was an Agile coach. And when I looked back at it, I went, you know, it was a good thing they didn't promote me, because that was a time for me to learn. It was a time for me to grow. And now all the things I learned there, I can apply it in this new place of work. But if I hadn't written it down then, I don't think I would have remembered to know the blessings I was enjoying right now in that moment. So just one of the things I took out from journaling. All right, I'm going to move on to my next slide. Inspection. Okay, so feedback is a gift. And I mentioned that story of the business owner. I think to him, at that point, it was just, he wanted to get at me. But to me, it took a different turn. It became an opportunity for me to grow, to learn a new way of doing work. And being an Agile coach or coaching really helped me, you know, look inward, show empathy, listen. I had to learn to listen. Being a coach required you could listen to someone for 20 minutes, just listening to their point of view. It helped get me out of myself of trying to control the team, to do all the rules. It was more of just servant leadership and, you know, coaching from the back of the room, creating an environment of inclusiveness where they felt like they were in control, not I. And that helped. It gave me better results. There's a story about, for me, smell the cheese often. And it's part of inspection. I call this inspection. And it doesn't have to relate to you, but this is my story. We are all on different journeys. I was once in an organization, right? And I was reading a book, Who Moved My Cheese? I think it's a sequel of that. And while I was reading that book, it taught me to smell the cheese often. What that simply means is you need to be aware of your surroundings and environment and know when things are shifting. So I was in an organization and there were 3 Agile coaches in the organization, and there was a manager included. The manager left, the other coach left, and I was the only coach. And I was reading this book, Smell the Cheese. And I was like, I'm the only coach in this company. I don't know, you know, what's happening. And so I started observing. So inspection is really also, when you put it personally to yourself, it's observation, it's demoing, but it's also observing and getting feedback. And then I observed that they were hiring more project managers than they were hiring Agile coaches. And I realized, I think my job is about to extinct in this place, without anybody telling me. But because I was consciously smelling the cheese often, being aware, I walked up to HR and said, hey, there's something changing here. Is direction changing? What is happening? And it was a good thing I did, because if I didn't, I probably would have gotten a demotion, a base stock, or anything like that. But they did give me a heads up. And they also did tell me I needed to start looking for another job. But it was good I got that heads up, because I smelled the cheese. So it's a good thing to inspect your environment, understand what's changing, be aware, and use powerful questions. Powerful questions on your team is great. Ask your team powerful questions to help move them in the right direction. But I think what's most powerful is when you ask yourself powerful questions, because our mind is a powerful warehouse. It really is. And sometimes we have to take a walk through our minds. Why did I react that way? That's a powerful question. Why am I feeling upset right now? That's a powerful question that could take you to places that you might not want to go, but it's important that you go. And so asking powerful questions, I recommend that to yourself is also very important. One of the other tools that helped me was life coaching, therapy, and counseling, and I'll leave it at that. 360 feedback was also very important. Having objectives and key results and being able to say, where am I in my key results was very helpful as well. If there's anything you take out of the slide is that change is important. We might not like it, but we can change our minds. We can change our beliefs. We can choose to move in a different direction, but it starts here in our minds. I should pause here and ask, what tools are you using for inspection? Anyone willing to jump in? Michael, you want to say something?
I typically at the gym or in yoga would be my time for reflection. It's just, I get into this zone and am able to kind of think and process through the things that are going on in my life.
Jim, oh, cool. Cool. And thank you, Ronke. I just realized I wasn't sharing. Sorry about that. Thanks for sharing, Michael. Yeah, I hear when there's oxygen pumping into your head and you're exercising, some things just become clearer at that point in time. Yeah, for me, sometimes it's taking a walk too. I'm able to reflect a little bit more. And Jessica said sleep. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have experienced so many times in my own life where there's a difficult or wicked problem that I'm working on that, after a good night's sleep, an element of it, if not the whole thing, suddenly becomes clear to me and I'm able to devise a path forward. So sleep is definitely a great way to let your brain do the thinking while you're slumbering.
Yes. Yes. I'm looking at the chat. Okay, anyone else?
Well, one of the tools for me is sensations in my body, how I'm feeling in my body at the moment. Or my breathing, that if am I breathing normally, or am I holding my breath? And if I'm holding my breath, that means something is going on and I need to pay attention and first breathe before you do anything else.
Yes. Am I saying that right? Anaga, is that your name?
Yes.
Anaga, wow. You strike me as someone who has learned the skill of body awareness. Like you're aware of your body. That is good. Because most people are not, and you don't know. Well, I learned that as an Agile coach, that your body says a lot. And so you learn to tell the different signs of just based on someone's body. Are they tapping on the table for long? They're trying to tell you to hurry up. Are they stopping their feet for, and they don't know they're doing these things, but you kind of pick up on those. So I like that you shared that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm looking at the chat. Reading is a good one too. Awesome. All right, let me get through the next one, adaptation, and this time I'm going to share. Share screen. Okay, adaptation. So change happens and is necessary, and is sometimes change is imposed on us, sometimes change just becomes imminent, sometimes we're pushed to change. If you're smelling your cheese, you might not be pushed. You'll be aware it's coming and you can react faster. But sometimes you're just not aware and change just comes up like that. The world is definitely full of change. And we can either choose to stay stuck, which is more painful because then the push could be really hard on you, or you can choose to react. So you can pivot, you can persevere, you can choose to use the knowledge from that experience to help you, lead the change. But either way, it's necessary for us to do the work of growth and to, adapt to change that comes. The tools that I've used for adaptation is mentors, accountability partners. When change comes, it's hard. Or when I see it coming, it's hard. But something that has really helped me personally is having people that I can count on and talk through the change with and get their thoughts. And oftentimes these people are like way ahead in their careers, or they're where I want to go, or they're just in the organization and they've been there for a long time. Something I always do personally when I go to an organization is have a mentor. I feel like it's building roots in that organization to help me understand the culture, the people, someone I can trust and share what I'm observing, because I don't see everything. I'm new, I'm trying to learn. So mentors have helped me with adaptation. Having accountability partners as well has helped me, where I remember on a Scrum team, as a Scrum Master, I had said that if at any point in this conversation, I am controlling the conversation or the outcome, I gave permission to my team to stop me and say, Pelumi, let's make this inclusive. That's all they had to say. Let's make this inclusive. And then it helped me realize I needed to stop controlling. I needed that for the first year when I was trying to move from being a Scrum police to being a coach. And that helped me. So my Scrum team was my accountability partners. It could be different for you. Being able to visualize your future is also important, because the brain is very imaginative, right? If you kind of keep a horrible picture in your brain, unconsciously you begin to walk towards that horrible picture. If you visualize a great picture in your brain, unconsciously you would walk towards that greatness. So being able to visualize what I envisioned myself 10 years from now, or what I wanted to do with myself, helped me walk towards those goals, and my brain started walking in that direction, and I started seeing opportunities in that direction, and opportunities like that were attracted to me. One of it was, I think it was this last year. It was one of my worst years personally, but it was a great year for me career-wise. I became the 8th Black certified team coach, which is really recognized in the whole world. And I wasn't expecting it, but it came. I had visualized this 5 years ago, and I had a Kanban board, was walking towards it. But at that point in my life, I was like, this can't be true. But that was when it came. But that was because I've been visualizing it, making the right connections, walking towards it. And at the moment I didn't expect, it happened. Having a community of like-minded people is also important. I have 2 great people. Feel free to reach out to them as well, or you might already know them. They're very popular in the Agile community, who have mentored me and helped me be a better person. Also kept me accountable. Sherry Salas is one of them. She pulled me from my Scrum policeness to being more of an Agile coach and showing empathy, and she walked me through how to do that. Anu is the Nigerian lady I met in a class and who just connected with me, and we became friends, and she was growing in her Agile journey, but she didn't forget to pull me along. And so she was always checking in and helping me grow as well. I'm going to give it back to you all. if feel free in the chat to talk about, you know, what you do to adapt. But for now, I want to leave you guys with connect. It's really important that you connect. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I hope this isn't goodbye, but that we build a connection as we move forward.